Welcome back, everyone, to a special episode of Against the Call. Today, we got Austin Heffernan from Space Knights. We've had RBJ on. Now we got one of the other GOATs, Austin, other words known as Austin Heff, on. And man, it is great to see you on this beautiful day. And I can already see the beautiful day through your window. So, Austin, how's your day
Beautiful.
going, man?
It's great, man. It's a great day in Apopka, Florida, home of a few UCF Knights, Cave and Call, and Nakai Martinez. So, got to represent the A whenever I'm able to. And yeah, looking forward to today. I know I listened to the RBJ one, the PUFA one. That was a really cool one. Y'all have been absolutely on fire. So, appreciate you
Thank you.
asking me to join. Yeah, really cool.
Of course, man. We can't have RBJ on and then not Austin. I've come to learn
Steven's
that.
gonna be so livid. Steven's gonna freak out. He's gonna be like, "How'd you pick Austin over me?" I can already hear the complaining. I'm totally looking forward to that. So thank you for the W for sure.
Oh yeah, of course. And I can't lie, at the beginning when we had RBJ on, if you watch that, we got you confused with Austin Camden. We were like, "Oh yeah, we had Austin on one time." And I was like,
Yeah,
who's the other Austin? But now I know he's on the show. You guys are welcome for that. But
yeah.
anyways, let's just jump right into it with you. Thoughts on the spring game? You were there. I saw you playing rock, paper, scissors with a recruit or something like that. I don't know. You might have to tell us a little bit more about that. But overall, how was the spring game for you?
It was a time. The best thing you could do in the off season is to go to the spring game if you're a UCF fan. Uh, we were all there. It felt like for the experience more than to, evaluate the players. Let the coaches do that. But obviously, it was nice to see some real football. At least it felt like real football. In person at the bounce house. And yeah, that experience playing rock paper scissors. We went over to say hi to Sincere Edwards, good friend of mine that we've gotten to know pre-commitment, now post-commitment. It's been really cool that he chose UCF and everything, and he's going on his world tour. I support that. Go check out all the colleges. This is the time in your life right now, if you're Sincere Edwards, to be courted, to be treated like that. So wanted to go say hi, good friend of mine, and we're like, let's just post up in this area. All these recruits are here. There are open seats, and next to me was a guy named PJ Woodland who visited UCF during the spring game. He was here for a big 7-on-7 tournament, and his friend Anthony Rogers was there, a fellow DB, same high school as John Rice Plumlee, by the way, in Mississippi. So that was a cool little nugget they dropped on me. And yeah, next thing I know, I'm getting challenged for my only Space Knights hat that I own. So kudos to him. He owns the original first ever Space Knights hat ever created after I lost, tragically in rock, paper, scissors. Pretty embarrassing. But, he played well. It was a tough battle. But overall, the best part about the spring game is fans on the field after the game. You can't replace that. You can't do that during the regular season. So to get that experience of mingling with the players, mingling with the fans while on the field, it's unlike any other tradition. So, hopefully next year we get a better turnout for the spring game, and we continue to, grow our in-person fan base as we move through the Big 12.
Yeah, awesome. Mike, what were you gonna say?
So, what are your thoughts on this upcoming season for UCF?
Uh, I don't have too high of expectations. I just want us to get our feet wet in the Big 12. Everyone's all worried about basketball, but we beat Oklahoma State on a neutral site. They're like a middle of the pack Big 12 basketball school. So that lets me know, hey, if we can hang in the basketball side already, I think we can hang in football, but I don't think fans should really be, pushing for a conference championship year one. Uh, Gus has big time college football experience. So having him as a coach is super helpful when you're moving to a conference like that, where obviously the competition is stronger, especially when you have freaking OU on the schedule. So yeah, I'm not, middle of the pack 500 ball is what I'm hoping for, just to show that, hey, we could play some ball in Central Florida, and it doesn't matter who's against us on the other side.
Yeah, I love that. And then back to a little bit with the spring game there. The score was pretty high. I saw it was 43-42. Now, obviously, there's no overreactions. There shouldn't be any overreactions with any spring game. But with the UCF spring game, very high scoring. Is that good offense or bad defense? What do you got to say about that?
I think it's a combo of both. The thing is, defense is going to have a little bit of an advantage because they see these players every day. They know their cues. They know their tendencies. They know when they like to make their cuts. They could probably pick up when they're making a fake on a route. So defense has a little bit of an advantage over any other defense we're going to play this year. And offense still cooked. We saw John Rice throw a 70-yard bomb. We saw Tommy get after it. And we saw Timmy get after it a little bit too. So all three quarterbacks looked pretty good, and the receivers, looked pretty good. Kobe, I think, stood out more than anybody. Kobe Hudson, a former Auburn receiver, he had a really good year for us last year. So overall, it's kind of just a combo of both. Like, defense also had their moments, big sacks, big turnovers. My only problem with the spring game is that the QBs aren't live. So what is called a sack on the field on John Rice could have been a 70-yard run in real life, because we've seen him break out of possible sacks multiple times. So, yeah, it was fun, though. Love watching some good ball. Yeah.
And JRP just came out from a baseball game, too, which was cool to see. That dual threat athlete at UCF.
Yeah, John Rice is definitely a different person. I was at the coaches show, the first one last year, which is held at Island Wing Company, hosted by Mark Daniels. And Gus joins him every week, and a couple players. That week, John Rice was one of the few players and came up to everybody that was there to support and just wanted to shake everyone's hand, all the fans, to get to know them. They're a pretty genuine person. We talked about last year's spring game that day, and I'm just rooting for him in life. It's beyond football. He's a musician like myself, so there's always going to be a little bit of a soft spot for somebody who also plays music and plays sports like I did when I was in high school. So, yeah, big fan of John Rice. And, yeah, I mean, that was iconic. SportsCenter and ESPN, joint posted seeing John Rice do that. And, as a UCF fan, I think we should be supporting him, through and through. He's already helping us get national exposure in so many ways with his personality, playing both sports at a high level. I mean, you can argue he's our top 3 baseball player, most important player possibly on the entire roster, because he's so reliable on defense and offense. But, yeah, John Rice is a different breed, and, we'll never see another John Rice Plumlee come through UCF ever again.
Wow, that's a pretty big take right there. I mean, you don't see another dual threat player coming in anytime soon.
I will say, him flying to ECU by himself, paid for by a donor, after football practice, he got out late and the baseball team was already in Greenville. That was great marketing for future John Rice Plumlee. I just think they're so rare nowadays. It's not legal, but high school coaches are somewhat little nudgy these days with hey, we need you to go to this practice, that practice, this travel tournament, that travel tournament, this travel tournament, and so they're a little more nudgy than they used to be when it comes to playing just one sport. And so I'd like to see more John Rice Plumlees. It's almost unreasonable with how much you have to dedicate yourself to one sport, with basketball, all the AAU stuff, baseball, all the showcases, and football with all the 7-on-7. So, I would love to see another John Rice come through. And I think we are the best school for that. You can see the synergy between the baseball program, the football program. They make schedules to allow John Rice to play both. So, yes, sign me up for another John Rice for sure.
You got to meet John Rice, and I got to see that you met Destroying at the spring game as well. How was that?
He is an awesome person. There are folks who are still holding a grudge against Destroying. If you don't remember, right after he got asked to either play football or do his YouTube channel, given an ultimatum the pre-NIL days, he sued UCF, but it was purely a formality. He was going after the NCAA, but you can't sue the NCAA on its, directly. You have to go through your own school and then go up the chain and and by proxy sue the NCAA. So it was not, an intentional, harsh move by him against UCF. It was hey, I want to do both, and I deserve to do both because, hey, I'm great at both. I'm a great kickoff specialist, and I'm a great YouTuber. So I was in big support of that, and I get it. It's a little, it's unfortunate that our attorneys at UCF had to stop what they're doing to work on that case, but at the end of the day, that set the stage for today. And UCF fans should be thanking Destroying for being a representative of UCF who literally led the charge for NIL. I think without the Destroying, it was a national story. Without Destroying's national story, we'd still be stuck in yesteryear with these predated NIL BS rules, McDonald bags at Tennessee. I know, Nick, you love Tennessee, but it's
Yeah.
I know. And I was going to use today to try to pitch why we should all just fully commit to UCF. I used to be a Canes fan, but yeah, I really do believe that we should be thanking Destroying for allowing NIL to take off and for him to be the representative of it and him still love UCF despite them asking him to leave the football team, something he grew up working his tail off for. So it was awesome. And the best part about meeting Destroying by far was I was walking away. He called me back. He's like, Austin, I know you. Back when he started his YouTube channel, I was a huge supporter because I'm just obsessed with any UCF related content. And of course, he mentioned the fact that he remembers interacting with me on Twitter. He remembers my support. And that's why you see in the picture, he's so happy. It's just, I think for him, it was a great moment because he knew many years later, hey, the work he was putting in on the very ground level is getting recognized now many years later. And that's got to feel great. So big fan of Destroying and everything he's done for NIL, everything he does for UCF. Coming back is huge. Having him here, we need him here more. We need him here more.
Yeah.
He is such a big name in the high school football world and the college football world. The more we can, have Destroying around interacting with our players, the better, because that will probably help with recruitment.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Now, going back to JRP, do you think he is going to be the starter the whole season for us?
Putting me on the spot. You got to treat every season like a brand new season. Tommy's definitely improved, but I think there's still some growing from him. I'm thinking back to I know it's the NFL, but Aaron Rodgers arguably could have been one of the best quarterbacks in the league if he was playing, but he was behind Brett Favre for a couple years, 2-3 years before he even got a chance to even see the field. Fast forward to today, we could have something similar in Tommy with him on the bench. And, the beauty of it is that, hey, he's staying healthy. We got John Rice in there and, we have a freaking great backup quarterback. A lot of schools would love to have someone like Tommy as a starter, let alone as their QB2. And then you can't forget about Timmy either, who has definitely taken steps forward from when I first heard about him at camp and spring camp. Lately, spring game, he looked way more confident than I remember people talking about at the beginning of spring camp. But I want John Rice to start all year because I think Darren Hinshaw was watching us last year because he's always been a UCF fan because he played here. So he watched every single game. He's coaching at Auburn, one of the best rushing attacks in the country. Not Auburn, UAB, excuse me. He was coaching at UAB, one of the best rushing attacks, top 3, top 4. And you give him a great running game with the Hinshaw methods, and you let him throw downfield. That opens up the run game for him, run game for the running backs. I really do think that I love Chip Lindsey. He was a good guy, but I think Hinshaw is more sharp when it comes to the finer details and is going to be really in John Rice's face more proactive, it feels like, with the development of John Rice. So I'd like to see him start all year because that would mean Hinshaw's done an incredible job, and that means that John Rice has taken steps forward.
Yeah, and I wasn't able to make the UCF spring game. Obviously, you kind of mentioned it before. I was at the Tennessee one, but I did get to hear that shaking your head. Okay. No, but I did get to hear that Hinshaw has brought back some of that up-tempo offense. And, coming from any UCF fan, going back to the Scott Frost and Heupel days, shout out to my man Heupel. That's something that's getting us very, very excited. And that just is going to lead me into my next question. With the upcoming season in the Big 12, what is your floor and ceiling for this team record-wise?
How many games we got? 12 games on the schedule. I think at our peak, I think we're 8-4, and I think the floor would be 5-7. If the thing with football, the ball could bounce the other way. It's truly a game of inches. Someone could stretch out and they could call a bad spot on a play. And so many things can happen in a game of football that can change a team's whole season. A few games here and there. I think, 5-7. Traditionally, I'm just going to be honest, on the road, we're not as tough as we are at home. We have some tough road games this year. I think we need to get started on the right foot on the road. That Boise State game is going to really set the tone. If we come out firing all the way across the damn country, the sky's the limit for this team, because we have their number. We played them for the first time ever at home, and there was all these issues with the weather, and they almost beat us. They were up, we came back, so they're obviously feeling some type of way about that game. So we're going to get their best shot because it's game 2, and if we can deflect that and win, I think we can go on the road and take on a Kansas State. That Oklahoma game is going to be a freaking movie. No doubt about that. We're hoping for good health for everybody going in. We want Dylan Gabriel to be playing in that game. But 8-4, I think it would be a really, really good season. You got to give Gus a lot of credit if we were able to secure an 8-4 season.
Yeah, most definitely. And I've been seeing quite recently a lot of ESPN projections still have us, preseason top 26, top 25, which is very, very affirming to see that. And, you bring up the Boise game, and all the road games are going to have to go against very, very tough. And one of the toughest probably will be that Boise game. Not only do they have our number, but that blue field is the ugliest thing I've seen in a long time. And I don't think that they're going to, it gets the opposing team. Anybody that goes there, that field is something very interesting. So I'm praying for our boys in that game. I'm praying that they put on some, blue tinted glasses, maybe a blue visor, and they can do their thing. But let's just talk about you in the Twitter community real fast.
Sure.
How did you come to, this fame in the Twitter community for the UCF Twitter mafia?
Stop it. First of all, I want to save some time to ask you all some questions, because you guys have been on fire. So I want to make sure I could spin it back on Mike and Nick here. But I've been in
first.
I think the people want to hear about what you all start and how you all came, and maybe we should ask you guys this week on Space Nights. You guys should come on. We should ask you, but going back to 2009 is when I made my Twitter account. I was working at a bank as an intern in the IT department, and that bank had just launched their first Twitter account. So I made one because I knew the person who made the account or whatever. It was at the headquarters of the bank. It's 18 branches, so a lot of employees. We're trying to get people to follow it, whatever. So I was like, oh, I'll support, and I just became in love with this app. I'd always read a lot. I like to read, and it became like the future of reading and the future of consuming media, consuming articles, consuming news, especially news. How often do we see news get broken on Twitter? And I've always loved the news. Grew up being forced to watch the news. In my house, my mom's like, we got to watch the news 6 o'clock every day, Channel 10 in Miami. So then it kind of just, it was a lot of back then it was following the Canes, and but mostly professional sports like the Miami Heat, Dolphins, and moved to UCF. And I think in the last couple years, I started wanting to post more, and got asked to join a group chat because Samsung, shout out to @Playoff Markel, he kind of started all this. He posted, hey, who wants to join a group chat? I joined it, and I met up with a few people at the Otis Anderson Vigil. Rest in peace to Otis Anderson Jr. We all met up there, RBJ and I, and a guy named Tyler. And a few weeks later, RBJ's like, hey, I'm going to do this Spaces thing. Anyone want to join? And he just posted the link in the group chat and just hopped on. And I was like, hey, I'm busy right now. I'm an adult. I'm kind of old. Yeah, they always make fun of me, like, you 36, like that meme. I'm actually only 31 though. But I'm like, dude, I'm an adult. I'm busy. But 2 days from now, I have an opening, at 8 p.m. How about we post that we're going to go live on that day, see who else can join us. It's like kind of like a sound stage. You can request to speak. So it's very engaging. And that night we had Kalia Davis listening. We had Jordan McDonald listening. Rashard Causey Jr., who used to play at UCF, played a little bit in the NFL. And it was really fun. I was like, dang, like we should do this every week or more often, maybe twice a week, because we love the conversations. We're touching on topics like you guys are doing, exactly what you guys are doing. And so then I don't know if y'all remember, but there was last off season, there was a guy who kept posting emojis to kind of tease when somebody would commit or a transfer portal transferee would choose UCF. He kept dropping emojis to hint at who it was. And he came in and was a listener and then requested to speak. And I immediately messaged RBJ like, yo, that's the emoji guy. That's the emoji guy. We should get him in as our third co-host. And that ended up being now one of my best friends, Steve and Leonard. So us three, we work together. We will plan out things. We've become close with members of the community going to mission control events. So I'm hoping that Kingdom NIL does a lot of the same of that, because that really helped us get to know the rest of the community better. But yeah, got close with Jan and Britt. We got a lot of cosigns from UCF sidelines, got us introduced to Mackenzie Milton, who was probably our biggest guest we had on in the very early going. Ryan Sabota was our first active player on, and it kind of just took off a bit, and would led to us getting Mark Daniels, the voice of UCF, was one of our guests. I think that's one of our biggest. Kalia Davis, while he was at the combine, was one of our guests doing interviews. He jumped in and talked to us, and then we had a whole episode where we actually planned it after he got drafted by the Niners. So it's been really cool to do that, but it's really just we look at each other. We're like, hey, we just want to kind of make sure the community feels like a community. People live all across the world, all across the country, and it's a fun way for everyone to get together and to just focus on UCF for a couple of hours a week.
It's awesome. It really is. Like the whole Space Nights thing, I kind of tuned in the other night and I was just laughing. I was having a good time. Like you guys always are killing it, man. I love seeing you. And now that you guys have merch, like, we got to work something out here. But, you did mention Mackenzie Milton and his mom even joined that Space Night thing with you. And how just take us through that entire experience and some of those conversations.
Mama T has been a big supporter of ours. I remember we had, Lynn Cheek, rest in peace, Lynn Cheek, big UCF fan who passed from cancer. We would have her on, and they're good friends. So we actually she helped lead a prayer for her, like live on Space Nights, which was really cool. Everyone was quiet, and Mama T is really, really talented, one with the Lord. So that was really cool. And then, then Mackenzie, having her and Mackenzie on was kind of something I pushed for because I'm a dad. So seeing, a parent with their child interacting, it was really fun. Telling, okay, mom, like, you can go away now. It was pretty special when you consider, this is, one of the biggest athletes to come through UCF, just feeling connected with the community. He really is, salt of the earth. So those kind of conversations, I'll always remember and will always stick with me. So just really fun to be a part of,
Yeah, I can't even imagine, man. One of these days, man, me and Mike, we're gonna have to meet. But I will tell you this. I will ask you this. My fault. What's it like to be verified on Twitter?
I pay for that, and it's fun. I get made fun of, but it's cool. I never would have been verified. I sell software for a living. I'm just a regular fan. I would have been low on the list of people Twitter Blue days when you couldn't pay to be verified. The reason why I paid for it is because I wanted to do that cover for all those UCF fans and players who passed away. It's a song called "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd, and it was right here. It was in this room, and I was going to upload it, and they had just switched the limit on how long a Twitter video can be on the free version. It was exactly 2 minutes. My video was exactly 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So and it wasn't like, oh, I can cut the fat. You guys do editing, so what that life is like, of cutting the fat, trimming to make it shorter, more succinct. But even if I were to do that, I still would have lost the song. I would have lost parts of the song. So I was like, you know what? Like, I can't not upload this. I'm decked out in UCF gear. I felt like I had a good performance, and they deserved it. I sent it to James Reed's son, who I've become friends with, and he really appreciated it. So those kind of things where, I feel like I'm just trying to do something good for somebody. I just want to make someone's day. If we can use our platforms to do that, to just make someone happy or make someone feel appreciated, I'll do that. So I was like, you know what, $8 a month, I'm on this app nonstop, whatever. I'll pay it. Yeah.
Well, one of my questions for you, it's going to go back to the football season. I like asking UCF fans, what are your thoughts on the war on I-4 coming to an end for now?
I've been, loud about saying it's a horrible thing for the program. It's a horrible thing for the state of Florida. It's a horrible thing for both programs. A lot of folks are like, oh, we're going to leave them in the dust. But in reality, it's great for recruitment. We were able to tap into the Tampa market, and Tampa plays great football, great high school football. We're up the street. We're beating the school in their backyard. We're only an hour and a half from them. We're able to really tap into the Tampa market. Now we don't get to play them, so we can't really go to their house, come in their city and show them how good UCF can play some football. Also, it's just great because players know each other from both teams. So fans could say, oh, we're above them, but the players will never be above each other because they played with each other or played against each other in high school. So that will never be too far away. So I am really disappointed that there is no plan to get each other on the schedule at all. I hope that we could work something out. Obviously, the way college football works, that won't probably happen for a bunch of years. It feels like both our schedules are pretty full. So I just hope we could plan some kind of series with them.
Yeah. Who do you think our next rival will be then?
I think it's already Cincy. I think there's already been a lot of jabbing between them. We had our bad era pre-2017. Then we were good for a few years. Then we kind of fell off a bit. And I think we're back. We beat them last year. So I think that rivalry is pretty strong. I think when you add the fact that our only game day appearance ever was against them, and we're going to the same conference as them now, I really hope that that matchup could be treated well by the media. I hope we get a slotted prime time, under the lights, because I think it deserves that. I think both fan bases deserve to have that matchup be treated like one of the bigger rivalries in college football.
Yeah. And with the scheduling, they pretty much, the Big 12, the Big 12 schedulers, whatever you want to call it, they've scheduled our rivalry week to be against Houston instead of Cincinnati, which was a shock to me, a shock to a lot of other people. Do you think that the Big 12 is trying to establish us with this rivalry and we could see that for multiple years? Or do you think that they'll switch it?
I don't know. Rivalry week is interesting because you have some big rivalry games not being played in rivalry week. I know Florida State, but hey, Miami, Florida State is one of the bigger, growing up for me, that was like one of the bigger rivalries. Florida, Georgia is technically not rivalry week. It's around Halloween. And that we can say pretty objectively, that's one of the bigger, more prominent rivalries in college football. So I don't know. I have no idea what to expect. They're probably going to rotate us maybe around based on how the season goes with rivalry week. It was pretty easy having USF there. That made everything very simple for the AAC to be like, yep, just throw that. That's our marquee matchup. One of the marquee matchups of the year for the conference. But I think that we're kind of in limbo with that, like we just talked about with is Cincy our rivalry. I hope, the fact that we don't have a definitive conference rival is going to be somewhat interesting, as we, move into the Big 12.
Yeah, for sure. And it's RIP USF. We're going to miss you. We're going to miss beating you every year in football. Basketball didn't go to as planned, but we let you have 2 games. You're welcome, little bro. And on top of that, Austin, why do you hate USF and how much do you hate them?
I can't remember exactly when it was, but her name's Judy Genshaft, and she's the president, president of USF. So they were discussing expanding the Big East at the time. They were in the Big East, like West Virginia and all them. And she pushed so hard against us. They were discussing whether we would get an invite to the Big East. And she put her foot down saying, oh, we would leave if they joined, kind of like take my ball and go home approach. So we had to work our way up, out of the MAC, CUSA, and then all of a sudden here, oh wow, Big East dissipated, huh? Maybe we could have helped keep it alive. I don't think so. That conference was kind of a dead zone, but she made sure UCF didn't become what it actually did become. She made sure that she would do everything in her power to prevent that. And so there is that kind of like different look at them, like really, like you really tried your hardest to not let us become great. And so it's totally different. That's why I'm so pissed. I loved beating them. It's different. Like, they ran up the score in 2016 as well. So going all the way back to 2016, we had a good season, first season with KZ as our starter, first season under Frost, but hey, that end of the season did not go the way we wanted. We went into Tampa, got the doors blown off of us. Marlon Mack pretty much owned us, and Quentin Flowers combined ran up the score. They actually scored with the play clock would have expired. The game would have expired because the play clock was higher than the game clock, and they still ran a play up by like multiple touchdowns, and they scored. Our players didn't even know. They thought that, usually when that happens, when the play clock is higher than the game clock, they just let it run out and everyone's on the field, and they scored. And it was Charlie Strong, I think was the coach. And yeah, I mean, after that, it's just disrespect. It's like, okay, like obviously you don't respect us in any way, shape, or form. So why should we respect you in any way, shape, or form? So yeah, it's fun though. That's what makes sports great, is that kind of that emotional connection. Like, oh damn, they ran up the score. They try to, it's different than, watching a TV show or watching a movie. Like, it's that human connection.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you have to say to any USF fans listening right now?
You mentioned, I think on the RBJ episode that you have some people who listen every week from USF. I'm saying, hey, enjoy your fake stadium that will never probably get built. I saw some plans today that they wanted to be built starting in June of 2024. They planned a estimated value of $400 million, 35K capacity. I mean, good luck with that. I mean, where are you going to get that $400 million? I mean, people keep saying they're pulling out of donating. Alex Golesh is a former UCF employee on the staff. We all found his old UCF tweets the day he signed with USF. We were like retweeting, like, so it would pop up on everyone's timeline of the USF coach rooting for UCF. Yeah, good luck. I mean, you're going to need it. FAU is your new owner. So I think FAU is going to dominate them in every sport going forward.
Just a few more miles away.
You're going to need it. Yeah, that's gonna be hilarious watching FAU take our spot and just pick up where we left off.
Glad to see someone dominating on USF when we leave. But
that's gonna be awesome.
One question I forgot to ask you when the football talk was going on: what are your thoughts on Mikey Keene leaving?
Yeah, I think he's gonna be great for Fresno State out of the Mountain West. Already becoming a fan favorite. He was a fan favorite for us too. Great guy. I think he's going to be great. I mean, he has good pocket presence. He struggled in the RPO game, and because he wasn't used to it. Pre Gus, that wasn't a thing. When he came here under Heupel doesn't do as many RPOs as Gus. So he struggled when getting thrown into the game when John Rice would go down, and he'd have to run an RPO. It looked like it wasn't natural, and so we had multiple fumbles with him there. Possibly game-changing fumbles, but he's great in the pocket. He's got good receiver chemistry. He's good at detecting when receivers are making their breaks and are waiting for the ball. So I hope that he balls out at Fresno State. It would be great to see that because he's a great guy and he deserves our support from UCF no matter where he goes in life.
Yeah, and there's no reason we shouldn't support him over at Fresno State. They're no issue to us. So,
exactly.
Hoping he does good over there, man, for sure. Yeah. So, Austin, that's all the questions I have for you. Mike, do you have any more?
That's everything for me.
Yeah, I think
Is it my turn to spin? Am I going to spin it for a few minutes? I know you guys go on the game at 6. Are you guys both freshmen?
Yes.
What?
I don't go to UCF right now.
Okay. What sparked this? Like, obviously you guys have been kind of taking off a bit. what kind of sparked you wanting to get into the video podcasting game?
I wouldn't say taking off, man. It's been a slow takeoff for sure. I don't know. I just enjoy doing it. We get asked this a lot from other people, and I think me and Michael should start coming up with a fake story. Honestly, it's not that entertaining.
No, it's just because we had our other host that was John that used to be on it a little bit, and it was because we'd be in a group chat with them and we sent sports stuff, and his takes and everything were so bad, like it baffled us. It would piss us off. And Nick came up with the idea. He's like, Michael, we got to start a podcast or something because these takes they're just so bad people wouldn't even think they're true. So we all met at like a restaurant. We gave John the idea and he said he was down, and so we just went along with it.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm John in all my friend groups, by the way. Like I'm the John of all my friends. People are like, "The hell is your problem? What's wrong with you?" I've tried to mature my takes a bit, especially today, trying to be professional with you guys. But that's hilarious. Shout out to John. There's all the Johns out there. Shout out to all the Johns out there.
I don't know if there's like. Dude, I can't even describe it. Like, John would have takes that just genuinely don't make sense. Like, if you're going to have a bad take, like, I have bad takes. I'll give myself that. I have bad takes every now and then. But John will just say something so random and truly believe it. He's one of the most passionate fans you'll ever meet. And you're so confused about how passionate he is because it's like he doesn't know what he's really talking about. And don't get me wrong, we love John. Like, we wouldn't have done the show without John. And John is actually one of the big reasons that we started this, like Mike mentioned, but he's just got too busy with some stuff, so he's not really able to come on. But the show must go on, and there's still going to be bad takes from me and Mike, so it's fine.
Yeah, I don't think I had any today. I mean, I try to be a little bit safe. I represent more than myself now, with Space Nights. I don't want RBJ and Steven to be like, "Yo, man, you guys you really made us look like crap," So I think I did decent today. You guys. Great interview questions. You guys are, the sky's the limit for sure. Big time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And if that's everything, we're just going to end the episode right here. Austin, thank you so much for coming on, taking time out of your day. You mentioned that you're kind of an adult, so, that must take a lot of time to do this, and we appreciate that.
Follow me at Austin Heff. Follow at the Space Knights on Twitter. Follow at SLeonard247, follow at RBJ2K1. Shout out to everyone who's been supporting us. Patrick Nurse gave us the name back in the day. We got folks like my wife has been a huge supporter of ours, so I want to make sure she gets a proper shot. Love you, Bianca. It's thank you for having me. This was amazing. Hopefully I get to come on again. I mean, see.
We'll
cross love.
Yeah, man.
Of course.
There's a lot of like people we've had on UCF related, you, RBJ, Leo, all those guys. We definitely plan on getting you guys back on whenever the UCF season kicks off. Like that's going to be the big thing. It's a lot of baseball right now, which we'll see. And also we're going through our golfer era. So it's for golfers. But other than that, Austin, thank you so much for joining the show. And like you mentioned, all the ats and handles will be in our description on both the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube description. So just click the links there. And that's going to do it for this episode. Austin, we hope you have a great rest of your day. Best of luck in life, man. And hope to see one of these future UCF sporting events with you. And hopefully Mike can make the drive up, come and see us sometime soon. But other than that, charge on.